okay, I'll admit it, I was wrong. I was dead wrong about Frozen. Ever since, the first teaser trailer was released, I was just shaking my head in disappointment about what Frozen seemed to be offering. I mean, where was the plot? Where was the warmth? The songs? I mean, anything that separated this from the usual mainstream American animation. Anything? I guess not. And unfortunately, it got worse from there. I mean, every time I saw a new trailer or clip, my hopes for this film just plummeted. And it really just, to me, it looked like nothing but a cocktail of bullshit and awful comedy and unbearable, just that cutesy quirkiness. In short, Tangled Part 2. Not to mention they were building that bullshit hype that this was going to be the greatest Disney event since The Lion King. Ha! My ass! And then I actually saw a clip of Olaf's the Snowman song in summer. That is a very good song. I really, really liked that song. Doesn't come anywhere near the pantheon of great masterpiece Disney songs. But it's a nice, fun song. And I actually started to grow, this little seed of hope was planted in me from that one song. And then the reviews came in, and that really was the water that made the seed of my curiosity just come alive. And I normally wouldn't have cared about reviews, but I kept hearing this phrase that constantly made me perk up my ears. And it was, Disney has returned to the days of the Disney Renaissance. And if you guys don't know what the Disney Renaissance is, it was a period of time beginning in the late 80s and ending in the late 90s, where Disney was at the peak of their creative prowess. They made one legendary film after another during this time, including The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and The Lion King. After this decade-long stretch of just a mind-blowing quality, Disney kind of took a nosedive. I mean, with the rise of computer animation and Pixar, the House of Mouse kept making big mistakes and releasing flop after flop after flop until it finally seemed like they had lost their magic. I mean, with Pixar releasing masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece, it really seemed like Disney was struggling to have an identity during this time, because really Pixar was becoming the new Disney. Disney was really in Pixar's enormous shadow at this point. And that kind of all changed when John Lasseter came into the picture. The Pixar, and if you don't know John Lasseter, he's the head of Pixar. He came in, restructured the studio, got it back on track, and from there they started to release a good assortment of critical and financial successes like Meet the Robinsons, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Winnie the Pooh, and others. And while I don't think all of their recent stuff have been hits, it's definitely nice to see one of my childhood heroes get back on its feet. But something was missing. And I like a lot of stuff that they've done recently. I really like Meet the Robinsons. I really liked Wreck-It Ralph. I love that last Winnie the Pooh movie they did, which is a shame that they released that right alongside Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, but that's another rant for another time. Nothing about any of those films, aside from Winnie the Pooh, really screamed Disney. With as much as I liked Meet the Robinsons and Wreck-It Ralph, they really seemed like films where Disney was imitating what Pixar does best, to a lesser degree of success. No, what they needed to do was make another musical. They needed to come back and make something where their area of expertise lies. And arguably, it's what they're most famous for. I mean, back from the early days of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they are known for making musicals. And in the case of the Disney Renaissance, they are known for making these pretty much animated Broadway spectacles where they had their best animation, their best writing, their best songs, their best villains, and they just went all out during that period. And I wanted to see something like that. And back in 2009, when it was announced that they were going to return to their roots with the hand-drawn animated Princess and the Frog, I was overjoyed. I mean, finally, a film that would return Disney to the throne as the king of the animated musical. Long story short, it didn't pan out so well. And its really underwhelming success made Disney reconsider doing hand-drawn animation and even having princess in the names of any of their films. Because initially, Tangled was going to be called Rapunzel, and Frozen was going to be called the Snow Queen. So they were just like, oh, we can't have any notion of like royalty or fairy tale in any of these titles. Just put some generic title in there. That'll get the kids coming. And also Tangled came out. While that was a very good financial and critical success, it did nothing for me. In my opinion, almost all the songs were forgettable. The characters were annoying. The story was just dull and routine. I simply just couldn't get into it. It bored me. Which is the last thing I want any film, especially a Disney movie, to do. And after those two misses, I had pretty much given up hope that Disney would ever make another big animated musical spectacle like back in the day. And that was until, back to what I was talking about before, where I started to hear that phrase, the Disney Renaissance, in relation to Frozen. And that got my curiosity pretty high. So I went to go see Frozen with a couple friends last night, and I was walking into this going, I think it's going to suck. I still think it's going to suck, and I don't have much confidence in this. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be any good. Boy, was I wrong. And I'm happy. I am happy to admit when I am wrong about a movie I think is going to suck. Because these are the kinds of films I love the most, where you walk into something thinking it's just gonna like piss you off and bore you, and you walk out going, man, was that something special. That was something special. And Frozen was one of those films. I think Frozen is the best animated musical they've done in, not counting Winnie the Pooh, because I don't really count that in the big Broadway spectacle Disney area. This is the best one they've done in over 15 years. It's the best animated musical I've seen in a very long time. And it's the best movie Disney on their own has made. Well, again, not counting Winnie the Pooh, because that was better. It's just, Frozen is a great movie. It is a great family film. It's a great film for... Remember what I said in my Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 thing? Where I said there's really no films coming out these days that allow children to watch them when they're young. And they grow up along with the kids. And they'll remember these songs. And really not that many films these days are The Lion King or The Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaids of our time. I had those films, and I'm really happy that kids these days are going to have Frozen to watch and grow up with and cherish in the way that I cherish The Lion King and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. So what's the story? Well, the story is about these two princesses, one named Elsa and one named Anna. Elsa is born with the ability to create ice and snow out of nothing, and an unfortunate accident occurs where Anna is injured by Elsa's powers, and Elsa realizes that she cannot be around her sister because eventually she's going to get her killed with these powers that she can't really control. So Elsa isolates herself because she's afraid of hurting Anna, And it really just creates this rift between the two sisters as they grow up. And it doesn't really help when their parents are killed years later. And 3 years after the death of their parents, Elsa has finally come of age to where she's going to become the queen of the kingdom. And they hold a coronation ceremony where something goes wrong, where I'm not going to spoil what happens, but Anna causes Elsa to lose control of her powers, where she pretty much creates an eternal winter. Think a kid version, well, not a kid version, think a family-friendly version of the White Queen of Narnia, where she pretty much covers the whole land in snow and eternal winter, and unintentionally, of course. Her frozen powers are pretty much an outlet for her emotional feelings, and the fact that her parents have made her conceal these powers all these years. And she finally just loses control and is exiled. She goes into self-exile, pretty much goes out in the middle of fucking nowhere and creates this giant ice palace for herself. And that's when Anna goes, "This is my fault. I'm going to set this right. I'm going to go after my sister and get her to come home." And along the way, she meets up with this ice trader named Kristoff, his reindeer named Sven, and this snowman named Olaf. And let me talk about the one thing, because I'm just going to talk about lots of positive things about this movie. I'm going to gush over this movie. I want to talk about the few things I didn't like about it so far. Some of the jokes just don't work. And while it's nowhere near as annoying as what I thought it was going to be in the trailer, it's a very funny movie. Some jokes just don't work. And that's noticeable, because they're really, I mean, a lot of people in the theater laughed. I was kind of just like, huh, okay. And there's a lot of puns. I can't stand puns most of the time, unless they're like from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So those puns, nothing for me. It is predictable. It follows the similar, not only Disney routine, but animated film routine, where I don't want to spoil it, but it just follows this story path that you get, and the twist you can see coming a mile away if you've seen enough of these movies. And also, I didn't think the climax was very emotionally satisfying. It felt very rushed and very underwhelming and just too easy. It's all built, the ending of this film is all built around this revelation that should have been obvious from the beginning. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to say it, but if you see the film, you might know what I'm talking about. If you've seen it already, you can probably predict what I'm talking about. Okay, good stuff. Where to start? First of all, they get the heart right of this movie. This is not a story about how, oh, I'm a princess who wants more out of life, or, oh, I'm a princess who doesn't want to marry this man. I want to be with this other man and let him control my life. Thank God they didn't do any of that crap. Where this is a story about the conflict between a woman and her sister, where it's about how this woman has this extraordinary power, but doesn't know really how to use it, and is scared of it, and is told throughout her entire life to conceal it and never to feel it. Where she pretty much traps her own heart and soul in this castle, not only just physically, but mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and it creates this really fascinating internal conflict in Elsa, where it's not done in a lot of dialogue where you see her conflict. It's almost all visual, and the visuals are fantastic when portraying Elsa's conflict within herself. And that, right away in the film, I was like, because a lot of people have been saying, oh, this film will melt the coldest of hearts. Yeah, it got me pretty early on, where the relationship between Elsa and Anna, I just thought was so touching. And then, in the beginning, and when it declined, I found just so heartbreaking. That got me, and I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. You've I don't like to use this pun. You thought out my frozen heart, Disney. Where are you gonna go from here? And where they go from here is better than I could have possibly imagined. Where Elsa goes into self-exile, and then Anna goes up and she meets up with, like I said, the snow trader and the reindeer and the snowman. And you've seen it in the trailers where like they're pretty much the comic relief. And they're actually very funny. This was written by, I believe this was written by the same woman who wrote the screenplay for Wreck-It Ralph. And that really shows, because I thought the humor in Wreck-It Ralph was like the best thing about it. And the same goes for here. This humor is hilarious for the most part. There are tons of laughs in this movie. There are a lot of crowd-pleasing moments. I mean, and the snowman, who's played really well by Josh Gad, he is very, very, very funny and charming and sweet. And I really liked that character. And all the time during the trailers, I was like, this guy is going to be fucking annoying. They're marketing him way too much. He's going to be just aggravating to the point where I don't want to watch this anymore. And I was wrong. I love Olaf. And also, you gotta get another thing right with these animated musicals. The songs themselves. And while there aren't any legendary songs in this movie, you know, like Under the Sea, or Circle of Life, or Beauty and the Beast, they still have some great songs in this movie. Some great, memorable songs. And none of these songs, I think, are forgettable. They're all at least good. And if I want to pick out some highlights, I'll pick out 3. There's one song early on called Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And it pretty much is about the growing isolation between Elsa and Anna. And it starts off as, it's still like a somber, kind of sad song. And then it reaches this emotional climax that it won me over right there, and it was very sad. And I didn't tear up, but it is a tearjerker, and I can see how people would tear up during this song. And there's also my next song that I really liked out of this movie is In Summer, and that's Olaf's song. And as I said before, that is a really nice song. It's got a cute, pleasant beat. Sorry. The visuals accompany it very well. And it's just a fun song that I could find myself humming like later on down the road. Not 15, 20 years from now, but it's a very memorable song. And then you've got your showstopper, where in all of these movies, you got to have a showstopper. You gotta have that one song that everybody in the audience is gonna want to, like, you know, stand up and clap. And the showstopper of Frozen is Let It Go. And thankfully, that's its most marketed song right now. Because, you know, there's a cover of it by Demi Lovato. They played it back at D23 Expo long time ago. This is the song that everyone is pushing from this movie. And thank God it lives up to all the hype. This is a wonderful song. It's all about how Elsa finally realizes that she's free and she doesn't have to conceal her powers anymore. She can be herself. And it's this explosion of freedom and power and magic that actually I didn't stand up and clap when she did this song. But, you know, me and my friends, we did the silent clap. And it was nice, and it's a great fucking song. So I'm very happy that they went with the right showstopper. And I'm still listening to it right now. I've listened to it about like 10 times this morning, because I just dig the hell out of it. And the vocal work, speaking of audio, the vocal work in this is great. Yeah, Kristen Bell, who plays Anna, she's very cute and very funny, and she has a very nice comedic wit to her. I've always really liked Kristen Bell, and she brings her A game to this. I hope I'm pronouncing her name. Idina Menzel, she voices Elsa. She does her singing voice as well. While I don't think her performance was as great as some of the other characters in this movie. She does a very good job, and she has a fantastic singing voice. That girl can carry a fucking note, and she was so good at it. Jonathan Groff is very funny, as the Mountain Man. You got Alan Tudyk as this Duke, who's very funny. Ciarán Hinds has a very small role, but he's good. And the highlight of this movie for me, shockingly, is Josh Gad as Olaf. And if you don't know who Josh Gad is, Josh Gad was the guy, one of the missionaries in the Book of Mormon, which is, the musical from the South Park guys. And I think he was Steve Wozniak in that Ashton Kutcher Jobs movie. So the guy's getting a lot of attention right now, and he's really becoming a rising star in Hollywood. And he's going to get a lot more roles, especially in animated films after this film, because he is hysterical. He has, like Kristen Bell, he's got really great comedic timing. He can deliver on the emotional scenes. He has a great singing voice. And he's got charm, where he's so sweet. And it's this sweet voice. I keep forgetting what Josh Gad looks like, but it's this very sweet, not calming, but loving voice. And you really fall in love with this character, and you really want to see Olaf come in and fulfill his dreams of experiencing summer. And you like this snowman. And he's not just comedic relief. He serves a purpose. His existence isn't there just to be a gag. There's actually a very emotional reason why this character exists. And why he exists, I'll leave to you to go see the movie. But trust me, it's going to take you kind of aback as to why he exists. And it's very sweet, and it's very heart-wrenching. And of course, the animation, beautiful, gorgeous. The way they animate snow in this movie, I swear to God, look photorealistic at points. Where literally, I thought they were rotoscoping me for a second. And it's clear they took a lot of time going to places like Iceland and Norway and Sweden and Canada to study how the mountains look, like how snowy mountains look, how the environment, the atmosphere. They nailed that with here. And I like the quote, I think it was John Lasseter that said this, where it's got a really big Lawrence of Arabia vibe as far as the scope goes. And I could agree to that. I can see that. And it helps that they got, I think this is the same art designer behind stuff like Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. I think. I'd have to go back and look that up. But great. Amazing visuals. Wonderful. Spectacular. I have nothing but nice things to say about the animation. And I also really want to say that this is a movie that while it follows that path of typical animated films, it uses it in a way that feels fresh and alive, and it doesn't feel hacking and routine, where you can have cliche characters, you can have a cliche story, and you can still make it work if the writing is top-notch and the passion is there. Frozen has all of those elements going for it, and that's where its success lies, where it's its passion and its writing. And even though, yeah, I'd like to see more hand-drawn animated films, and yeah, I'd like to see, because a lot of, like, even back in the Disney Renaissance, a lot of these Disney films, they have the songs, like, in the first two-thirds, and the last third is pretty much all action, and the same goes for that here. I really wanted to see them end, and it's a minor nitpick of mine, I really wanted to see them end with a song, like another song, or a reprise of the song during, like, the final scene. They don't do that here, and I was very disappointed by that, but that doesn't really detract from how I feel about the movie. And also, my final point before I wrap this up, Frozen makes fun of Disney. And I really like that Disney had the courage and the humility and the balls to make fun of itself, where it makes fun of the idea of the Disney princesses, you know, falling for their Prince Charmings in a second without even knowing who the hell they are. And I actually really liked that, where it was funny. And they don't fall into that trap in this movie where they have that happen. You actually, the love interest in the movie, actually, they develop. They get to know each other. They get to see, you get to see them fall in love. It's not like Cinderella or Snow White, oh, I automatically meet the prince and, oh, I'm automatically in love with him. It's not like that. And when it is like that, it's meant for humor, and it's meant as a great message, you know, to girls that, you know, you're not gonna find your Prince Charming. A relationship takes time and development to really get going. And I love that Disney put that message in there. I think it's very beneficial in our modern era of idea of love and romance and shit. But it was just very funny how they brought up the whole, you've only known him for like 5 minutes and you already want to marry him? What's wrong with you? That was genius. That was fucking genius on Disney's part. So, overall, Frozen is wonderful. It has that movie magic that I have been waiting for Disney to recapture for years now. And they've finally done it. From a film that I had no intention of going to see originally. I had no idea that I would actually like it, let alone love it. I think Frozen is almost the best animated movie released this year. There's one other theatrically released animated film that I thought was slightly better than Frozen. But from, you know, a wide margin, this is the best Disney musical in forever. Since Mulan. It's wonderful. You owe it to yourself. If you are like me and grew up with the Disney Renaissance and grew up with The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, you owe it to yourself to go see this movie. Yeah, whoever made the trailer should be fired. Yes, the trailers still look like shit, but this is a great movie. Take it from me. Take it from somebody who didn't want to go see this movie. You have to go see this movie. This is awesome. And not necessary, but still awesome. You gotta go see it. As far as the rating goes, I give it a hell yeah. Hell yeah, go see this movie. Hell yeah, go take the whole fucking family with you. Go buy popcorn, go buy soda, go see it in 3D, go see it in IMAX if they're showing it in IMAX. This is a great movie. I hope this movie revitalizes Disney's, you know... what was I going to say? Revitalizes Disney's, you know, idea that, yes, Disney princess movies can be smart and can be funny without having to go so over the top with their quirkiness the way Tangled did for me. And to me, this is the best of both worlds, where you have a film that harkens back to the Disney Renaissance, where you got the heart, you got the animated musicals, but then it also has sides of like the modern pop culture where you got the quirky characters, you got the comedic relief, you got the more pop-oriented songs. And this is the best of both worlds. It's a nice blend of both sides of Disney. And this is the third year in a row, I believe, where the Disney film has been better than the Pixar film. And right now, I'm telling Pixar, you gotta step up your game, guys, because Disney's making a comeback here. Step up your game. I hope The Good Dinosaur and Inside Out are all wonderful. I'm pulling for those movies. But Disney needs to make more films like this. They need to go back to the Disney princess fairy tale musical thing that they did so well back in the late 80s, early 90s. Welcome back, Disney. I have missed you. And so many people have. I embrace this movie with open arms. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's a short that plays before this movie called Get a Horse, and it's a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and it actually uses archival recording of Walt Disney voicing Mickey Mouse. And I thought it was fantastic. This is a great little short where it's got like Frozen harkens back to the Disney Renaissance. This harkens back to the days when the cartoons were fucking violent and lots of slapstick, lots of people Pete getting his ass whooped the whole time, and it was just a great little reminder of what Disney used to be. It really, now that I think about it, Get a Horse was a reminder of like, look, this is what Disney used to be, and now here's Frozen, and this is really what we've become. Disney has returned to their roots in the best way possible. They've crafted a film that can be adored and loved by audiences everywhere. Kids and adults alike will dig the hell out of this, and I hope this becomes an even greater success than Despicable Me 2, which, sorry, crap. Despicable Me 2, crap. Frozen, wonderful. Go see it. Fuck Despicable Me 2. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Recommend me some Disney movies. Recommend me some animated musicals that I may have forgotten about or overlooked over the past couple years that have come out. And as always, have a good one, guys.